What's up, y'all? How are you? This is Neena Perez. This is Straight Talk, no sugar added on WINJECT TV, powered by WINJECT Studios. Today, I'm going to talk to you guys about mental blocks that are limiting your success. How do I know that? They are mine. They were mine. Some of them are still mine that I am dealing with, and I have been really researching it, really trying to do my homework about it and all of that. So we're going to do this together. Okay. So I am so excited to get into this with you. And I really, really appreciate all of you who come on here all the time to spend time with me and to, really like experience all of these different times that we have together when it comes to, having that winning mindset, growing and transforming our thinking and all of that. What I want you to do for me, Nina Perez, go on to my page on winject.com/register and register for my community for free. Get on there and register. I really, really want to spend that time with you. I want to be back there talking to you. I want you to see my content, all of this great stuff. And we're soon coming out with a lot of great things that you're also going to be able to be a part of. So I want to make sure that you guys are part of my community. So please get on there, okay? Make sure that you like, share, subscribe. You share this community with others so that they can also join. It's free. So get on there on winject.com/register and make sure that you register for that. You can also go onto straighttalknosugaradded.com and there's a link there that says join my community. Click that. It'll take you to WINJECT and you start to become part of my podcast community. And you guys kill it. You rock. Okay. My numbers are going like really high. Everybody's watching, listening. It is fantastic to see the numbers rise because every time they do, that means somebody's being impacted. And that is why I am here, right? So make sure that you do these little things. Make sure you go right here, somewhere underneath over here, somewhere, and make sure that you subscribe to this channel at here on WINJECT TV. Head on over to Straight Talk No Sugar Added and subscribe there as well. And I'm sure that all of my information will be linked on the show notes below. But I need you to really help me build the visual, the algorithm, all of that I need to grow this, right? So thank you so much for being here with me today. Make sure that you leave comments as I'm going through this because I want to make sure that we are connecting, okay? So make sure that you talk to me. I don't want to just be talking to myself, all right? Excuse the voice. I am really struggling with some horrible pollen allergies right now. And so my voice is gone. My ears sound muffled, but we're going to do this, right? So what did I want to talk about? Your mental blocks, right? We have a lot of them. And I talked to a lot of extremely wonderful, successful people, right? And they are full of this talent and they still struggle with some mental blocks in their life, right? And the truth is that a lot of those mental blocks or a lot of those beliefs that we have really stop you from doing the things that you really, really want to do. Like you really want to do them, but you don't know why you can't just get your butt to go and do it, right? And regardless of your circumstances, you're like, I know that I want to do this and this circumstance is in my way. How do I get over this? How do I overcome? How do I challenge myself and go over this obstacle to succeed? And the only way to do this, guys, is by really examining what these mental blocks are, exposing what they are, looking at them eye to eye, nose to nose, right? And seeing what is that is limiting you from going forward. Now, you can't control everything in life, right? Sometimes life comes at you in a really strong way and it knocks the wind out of you a little bit, but you can control your reaction. You can control what you are going to be thinking about, right? You can take control of certain aspects of your life that'll help you navigate these mental blocks, right? Because the good news is that mental blocks are often lies. They're often like made up lies that we have told ourselves for so long that now we are identifying with it, right? We identify with these mental blocks and we feel defeated. We feel like there's no way above this, but that's not true. And we can become so used to them that we approach things with a question of failing as opposed to a question of overcoming. And mental blocks really do happen to a lot of people. I have spoken to like people who are very successful, authors and stuff, and still say they have mental blocks when it comes to writing, right? So we have to learn what it means when we limit ourselves like that, when we just don't know why we are not going after those things that are in us, that those things that are driving us, but we are still like, I don't know, I could do that, right? We have to learn to examine that. So I was looking at that for myself. I was looking at that for my husband. I was looking at that for my children, and I'm thinking, what are some of these mental blocks? What are they looking like? How are they manifesting in our lives? And what is it, why is it that we are being limited on some of the things that we really want to do, but something happens along the way where we stop? And the first thing I thought of, or the first thing I noticed in all of us, was that self doubt. Now, you need to know that all of us struggle with self doubt, right? You don't need to know everything about everything, right? Because sometimes we think we need to know everything in order to be successful. But self doubt is a real thing, right? And it is going to come in and it is going to limit your ability to act on certain things because you are doubting yourself. My husband and I were just talking about that last night. He's like, what about if you feel unworthy? What about if you don't, believe that you can? And I'm like, yeah, that's self doubt. That's exactly what I was writing about. And so we were talking about it. And as we were talking about it, I realized that I had already hit a lot of these on the head because I realized it's more than just me. It's a lot of us that go through this, right? The most successful people that I have talked to on my podcast, that I have, had the privilege of having lunch with and stuff like that, they tend to overestimate their abilities at first, right? They all said, "Oh yeah, I thought I can do it all." However, right, they have realized that they had to adjust as they went, right? I was reading an article that said that some people eventually grow to meet their expectations. So people that have like this big thinking, this big way of thinking, they overestimate their abilities and they don't really realize how much this is going to take for this brand new big behind project that they want to do. But when they are consistent and people who think big like that, they will eventually meet that expectation, right? They have the courage to believe that they are capable. They have the courage to step out and actually do it. And then eventually they will meet that expectation. I thought that was really amazing to read and to think about when I speak to all of these big thinkers, right? Because they will keep going at it and adjusting until they prove themselves right. It's pretty fascinating to have that kind of mindset, right? Where you ultimately are going to keep going until you prove yourself right. For me, I I do that as well. I overestimate sometimes how fast I can get something done, and that can also combat you in a way where you start to also feel like you're not good enough. So you have to be careful about how you navigate that, right? Having faith, for me, having faith in God, having faith in myself, having faith in my talent has been super key for my self-doubt, like overcoming self-doubt. That has been key. The people who think that they are really bad at something are most likely that they're going to give up on something, right? So if you don't have that kind of like innate value and knowing that you bring value and worth to what you are doing, you might give up before it's time, right? Because those who think that they are, experts at something or really good at something or really like driven to do something, those are the ones that are going to succeed, right? Because they'll keep trying. But the person who doesn't really believe in themselves, doesn't really have that faith in themselves or in a higher being, for me it's God, or in their talents or stuff, they usually give up right before they hit the jackpot, right? So you have to realize that in order to be that kind of person who overcomes that self-doubt, you're going to have to start thinking a little bit bigger and taking the risks that you're going to have to take and knowing that you're going to be disappointed. You're going to have times where you're going to be disappointed in the result, but that doesn't mean that you're not good or that you can't do it, right? But self-doubt will creep in, so you have to be careful, right? Most successful people are those who don't think about how good or bad something is. They just learn from their experiences and then they improve and they keep on going, right? So self-doubt is huge. And I because I'm coaching a lot of women, especially women who want to be entrepreneurs, I've realized that this is a huge one for them, is doubting themselves and doubting their abilities, and they don't give themselves enough grace to realize that they don't know everything, and that is okay, because successful people are not going to be thinking about good or bad. They only look at the situation, they learn, they grow, they learn, they adjust, they grow, they learn, they go, right? So we have to start like really thinking about what we're thinking about. I know I say that all the time, but it's true. It's all in the mindset, right? So that was the first thing I noticed as I was going through, what is it? How do we break this down so we can all become successful and break these mental blocks? The other one I found was arrogance. Arrogance and self-importance was huge, right? I'm like, wow, okay, that's a mental block for real, because I speak to people who are billionaires and millionaires and stuff. Sometimes their arrogance and their self-importance will stop them from actually having the full success that they need for themselves and their team. Now, that doesn't mean they won't be successful. They're just not getting at it the right way, right? It's by like crawling and pulling teeth, and nobody's happy, right? And it's because of their own arrogance and self-importance, right? So you got it going on, you're all that in a bag of chips, right? Because you're aiming for the top and you're not thinking about how your arrogance is affecting other people. And that's all good. But to succeed in life, you're going to need the help of others. You're going to need the help of your team. You're going to need the help of your support system, right? You can't just be so self-important that you can't even really take advice or guidance or help from other people. And you may also be like, oh, finding quality help, is kind of hard to find, but not really if you are somebody who is of quality and only seek people who are of quality to be around you. Knowing someone who has maybe already been there, already done that, already did that success. Maybe they already know what they're doing. Maybe they already had the biggest pitfalls, right? And have risen from that. They can really teach you a lot, right? Just because you fall doesn't mean that you're not smart. Just because you might be in a place where you don't know, like, you don't know how to navigate this certain situation in your business or in your life, doesn't mean that you're not intelligent, doesn't mean that you're not smart. It just means that you haven't been there before. And because you haven't been there before, you don't know how to navigate that, right? And so we have to stop like having this block that says that we know it all. We're all that in a bag of chips, and then we can't even take advice from someone who maybe has been there, done that, or maybe just has a different point of view that might help your business, right? There's tons of people that are willing to help you. It's not embarrassing to ask for advice. It's not embarrassing to ask for help. It's not embarrassing to see somebody succeeding and saying, you know what? I wonder if this person would be my mentor. I wonder if this person wouldn't mind answering a question or two of mine. You'd be very, very, very pleased and surprised at how many people are willing to help you, especially if they've already been there. It's not embarrassing to ask for advice and help. It's more embarrassing to have help and all that available to you and not doing anything to utilize it, right? And then doing everything the hard way. That's more embarrassing, I think, right? Now, there are as many times that I've had to humble myself and be like, you know what? I need to ask help with this, or I need to ask advice with this. And it's not because I had arrogance and self-importance and I didn't want to ask help from anybody else, because you're embarrassed. How am I going to tell someone that I need help with X, or that I need help with Y, or that I need this? That's embarrassing. No, it's not. If they don't want to help you, they don't have to. But the people who do want to help you will, and they will be there for you. So stop putting that mental block on you that you're the only one that knows everything, because you don't. All right? So stop. I don't know what else to tell you, but stop and ask someone for help. And ask someone who you know has a good head on their shoulders and may be able to guide you in that particular area. All right? So that was the second one. And then I thought, you can't do it. For me, I can't do this. I can't do the coaching. I can't like strategize people's businesses and stuff without an education, which is bullshit. I mean, I do have a bachelor's degree, but then I went and got my NLP certification, then my master's NLP certification, then I got my coaching accredited certification, and on and on and on I go, right? And I really thought I couldn't do what I'm doing today without all of these certifications and education. You know what the funny thing is? Not one person that I have helped has asked me to show them my certifications. So I'm like, well, dang, I spent all that money and not one person asked me. What they want to see is results. That's all they want to see, right? So you're like crazy hard worker. I'm a really hard worker, and then I still think that I can't do it without certain things, right? You think small and then you let fear come at you and you can't seem to move yourself forward, and you think that the only reason you can't move yourself forward is because of lack of education, or you just can't do it because you didn't go to college, or you can't do it because, are you kidding me? The reality is that you already have in you what you need to be successful. You do. I mean, of course you can't go out and be a brain surgeon if you are, not a brain surgeon. You do need an education for that. But for most things, you don't need that, what you think you need. You don't need that big ginormous education that you think you need, right? You already have a lot in you. I promise you, you do. I promise you, you do. I was reading somewhere that 1/3 of the world's billionaires dropped out of high school. Okay? They dropped out of high school. They didn't even graduate high school, and they're billionaires today, right? So we have to stop that block of, I need to be smarter, or I need to have more, or I need to be more educated. Not always true. It really isn't. Like I said before, unless you're going to become a brain surgeon or a heart surgeon, where you definitely need that kind of an education, you don't need it for most of the things you want to do in life. You have a lot in you already. Do you need to educate yourself? Like, keep learning? Yes, but you don't need all of these educations to get started, right? It's still very possible for you to be successful without having to have all of these certifications, all of these things going on. Now, will you learn as you go? 100%. That'd be so stupid to think that you're not going to learn as you go. Of course you are. But I'm talking about blocks. And one of the biggest blocks is that, oh, I need this, I need that. I did that. I'm so mad at myself for doing that, but I did that. I learned a lot. So that was good. I got certified. That was good. But now one freaking person has asked me about my certifications. Not one. Okay. So that was that. So that was the other one I thought about. And then I thought about, what other things have me and my family been going through that we've been struggling with, or my clients and stuff, and what have we been struggling with that has stopped us? And the other one, as one I've spoken about before, is comparing ourselves to other people that are in the same field or around the same field, and we keep comparing ourselves to others. And the problem is that we tend to underestimate ourselves while we overestimate them, right? And when you see your competition is getting all of this attention, they're getting all these likes, they're getting all of these follows, they're supposedly building this ginormous business, it is super hard not to get jealous. It is super hard not to feel defeated, of course, right? Because you're looking at all of that and you're just starting. So you have 2 followers, they have, 85,000 followers, and you're like, damn, I'm behind, right? But the problem is you're underestimating yourself and your value while you're overestimating theirs. Sorry. But before you fall into that pit of feeling defeated and feeling despaired, consider that you might be giving your competition just a little more credit than they deserve, right? Because there's a lot of people out there that are just showing you things that are not real. Right? And they're exposing things and showing you things that are not real, and you're thinking, "Oh my gosh, they're amazing," right? And you might be giving them a little bit more credit than they actually deserve, and you're not giving yourself enough credit, right? So examine them. Examine your competition, right? Look at what they're doing. What are they doing that's right? What are they doing that's wrong? How are they doing that? One thing I love about WINJECT, and I've been on here over a year now, is because they're really about community collaboration, collective impact. They really are trying to get people and communities together to grow and to expand and to reach a broader audience, right? And I love the concept and the way that they are doing it, but there's a billion other people trying to do something similar, but they have one piece here, one piece there, one piece there. So I can't speak for Chris because he is the brains behind all of this, but I'm pretty sure that he was tired of everything happening out there in the world and saying, these people are doing it wrong. These people are doing it okay. These people are doing it right. But what if we took that and bettered it this and made that and made this and made that? Right? So you examine your competition. You're supposed to do that anyway, right? There's SWOT analysis. You examine your competition and you improve upon their efforts, and then you surpass them. Then you bring something up and you create something that's newer, better, I think that's the word, newer, better, and more strategic in the planning, right? So examine your competition and then improve, right? You have to be able to look at that and say, what is an objective area that I can look at here that I would like to bring to my business, but better, right? Or you can ignore them and just get busy doing your own thing and busy doing your own mission. You can do that too. But once you do it, once you go there and you look at all this competition and you do this and you do it and you have anything analyzed, blah, 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 just throw it out. Why? Because you're going to get yourself into a rut. You're going to start becoming somebody who's always looking at the competition only and not fixing what or doing what it is you want to do. So be careful in that place. Be careful in that rut. All right. Wondering why that other guy is doing something better than you, instead of looking at your competition as if it's a great idea, but you need to improve on it because they're not doing it as good as you would, right? Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. So instead of looking at your competition, look at what they're doing, look at your competition and say, I kind of like that they did this, but I would have done it like that. You'll have a fresh product or service before you know it, right? There's 1,000 coaches out there, but nobody's Neena. Right? Same thing with everything else, right? There's a billion mechanics, but you'll always go to that one mechanic that you trust. All right? So stop putting that block on you. Stop putting that block that makes you compare yourself to other people. It's not going to get you anywhere unless you're looking at other people to improve what you are offering and what you are doing. All right? The other one I wanted to talk about was how, I was talking to one of my clients who says she's in this place right now where she has no motivation. She's lost all of her motivation to keep moving forward. This is so freaking common. I mean, how many of us wake up and go, what the F am I doing? And why am I doing this? Right? Because you're going to be facing these mental hurdles all the time in your life. We all do. Okay. And that you need to look at that and say, okay, what's losing my motivation here? And what's my goal here? Why am I doing this? Take a step back, look at your goals honestly, and then be honest with yourself about your capabilities, what you can do, what you can't do. That way you can start building a team around the things you can't do. All right. And then that will help you grow. It'll help you look at things. And then you're like, okay, wait a second. Maybe I don't know everything. Right? And if you start looking at yourself honestly and looking at what you can do and what you can't do, then you can start building a support team around you that'll help you grow. Right? Maybe you're setting your sights so high and you start thinking that you can't be successful, and then you'll never get started. All right. So you got to be careful with that too, right? Setting yourself sights high is a good thing. But if you're the type of person that starts thinking that you can't be successful because it's too high, then you're not going to get started. All right. So try to look at your goals objectively. And it might be even worthwhile looking at it from the beginning, like scaling it back and then slowly adding your goals as you go, because that'll build up your confidence. And as you build up your confidence, you can always start growing your goals in the future. But I don't want you to be stuck there. And that's why I brought this one up, right? Losing motivation is normal, guys. It is normal. And give yourself time to sit back for a second, re-look at what you're doing, reframe, and maybe even restructure. Sometimes we have to restructure not just our businesses, but our lives. Like, what is it that I have to do differently here? Do I still have to live in this town? Do I still have to work at this place? Do I still have to, you know, volunteer at this location? Like, look at your life seriously and strategize. Okay. It might be slightly off topic, but I feel this one, but I feel this one is one of the most pervasive issues pertaining to entrepreneurship. What's funny is that 90% of today's entrepreneurs can't even tell me the difference between a balance sheet and a profit and loss statement. However, I would argue as long as you know how to read it to find the areas of opportunities, it's good. But don't let that limit you from thinking you can't scale. That's awesome, Chris. And you know what? I didn't even put that as one of them, but you're absolutely right. It's like knowing also the fundamentals, right? Knowing your numbers, knowing what you can and cannot do. Where's your opportunity? Where's your loss? That is so good. And I will be copying that and putting that in my notes. Thank you very much. So that is really, really good. I appreciate that, Chris, you know. And also, another thing is, you know, when you hide from the truth, when you hide from the reality of things, right? So that's a lot of what you're talking about and looking at the numbers, right? A lot of people don't look at the numbers because they don't want to. It's freaking scary. And then you have to see the truth for what it is. And when you look at the truth, you're like, ah, shit. You know what I'm saying? I don't even know if I can do this. But if you know the numbers, you know where to start from. You know where to go. Me and my husband do this with our home budgeting, right? When we look at it, we're like, oh, we got $16 left, babe. We got $16. Hold on to your seat. Here we go. But we know the numbers. We know where we're going. We know what we're doing. And when we do that, me and him are super successful because we know what we can and cannot do. And you start to leverage what you can and start to back up on things you can't, right? I know it's scary to know the truth. I know. But while you hide from reality, believing in falsehood, you're not making real progress, right? What's that? Avoidance is a form of lack of accountability. Yes, it is, because you feel safe there. A lot of times, lack of accountability is really a safety thing. You feel protected, right? And so you're going to feel like, oh, I don't have to see it. What are you talking about? I don't see that. That's happening in my face, right? And so while you're hiding from this and while you're believing the bull crap because you're not looking at it, you're not going to be making progress. You're not. And if you are, you're taking one step forward and 10 steps back because the reality is still the reality, whether you want to look at it or not, right? So you keep your guard up and you want to like prevent the pain, you're missing the opportunities to learn what it takes to get closer to your goal, to your objective. You really, you haven't really tried hard enough yet to prove yourself wrong, but maybe now's the time, right? If you haven't really stopped to prove yourself wrong, it's probably the time to start proving yourself wrong. And what I mean by that is maybe what you're doing isn't working. Look at what you're doing. Look at the truth of what that is. Look at your balance sheet, right? You know, you don't have to be an accountant to know what's happening, right? And I think that's Chris's point. You don't have to be a pro at reading these statements, but you should know where you are. You should know where you are. Right? Try your best and see what that does for you. Try to see what's happening around you. You're unlikely, seriously, you're unlikely to be successful if you don't look at the truth. You're unlikely to be successful. And you're also going to mess up on the first try too. Yes, exactly. Thank you. Yes. And you're going to get better though. I promise you. Like the first time you look at a balance sheet, because believe me, I took accounting, hated it, Chris, hated it, right? But I get it. I'm not an accountant at all by trade. I had to take it for my bachelor's degree, so I understand it and I look at it and I get it. And I was like, oh, okay, well, we have a 20% attrition here. We gotta see what we're doing, right? But I'm not a professional, not at all. That's why I hire a professional that I trust to do it for me. But I know my numbers. I have to, right? So you're going to be effective. I promise you. The first time you're not, and that's okay. The second time you're going to get a little better. The third time, even more effective. And then before you know it, you're going to be able to obtain the truth to yourself. You're going to be able to get real with yourself, and you're going to also be successful. I'm telling you, it happens. It works. Okay. Homeless here, guys. 6 figures. Homeless, 6 figures, right? And do I still struggle? Hell yeah, I still struggle. Do I still have problems? Yes, I still have problems. Do I still see lack sometimes? Yes, I do. But that's the whole point of this session today, is to help you break those mental blocks so that you can succeed, so I can succeed. This was homework that I was doing for you guys and homework that I was doing for myself, right? So another thing is, what I love about business is that 99.9% of issues are solved from a steady stream cash flow. That is very, very freaking true. And another, I guess the other percent of that would be your mindset, right? What I love about business, that 99.9% of issues are solved from a steady stream cash flow. And that goes right into what I'm talking about right now, which is your mental block when it comes to money and time. Money and time are huge, huge mental block for a lot of us, right? Tell me what you do when you don't feel like doing something, right? You have all the excuses in the world. And excuses are going to be the tools that you are going to use so that you're not committed, right? So that you're not actually committed to what you're supposed to be doing. Lord knows I have them a lot. Okay? Because I have to fight myself all the time. Like, fight myself all the time when it comes to the weight issue, right? Like working out and eating right. Every day has to be a conscious decision, because if not, automatically I start making excuses, and they don't serve me and they don't serve you. Successful people have started from every single point. Everybody I've spoken to have started from every single point in their life. I've started, some were wealthy and then they just started and kept going. Some were poor and really rose to the top and made themselves somebody who works really hard, multiple jobs and stuff. And then I've worked with people who have this very poor mentality, where they work multiple jobs and they work themselves to the bone, and they figure they just want to eat and pay their bills, right? Now, we all have the same 24 hours in a day, and we all have the same exact time to start with, right? We just have different excuses for what we're willing to do. Ouch. Ouch. We just have different excuses for what we're willing to do, right? And not making the most of the hours, that's on you. That's on you. Because a lot of these people that I speak to, yeah, they work hard, but there is a means to end. And it's not just, I want to eat and pay my bills, right? These people are like creating businesses, creating multimedia companies, like creating all of these things. And they know that it takes a lot of grit and hard work and cash flow and looking at your numbers and all of that stuff. But they also know that they have to remove blocks in their mind that are going to give them excuses, especially when it comes to money and time, right? You can get started without financial resources. You can try to find some free resources out there that'll help you grow and expand, right? Are your dreams bigger than your excuses? Like, right. Love hitting people with that question. It's an eye opener. It's true. Are your dreams bigger than your excuses? Sometimes they are, Chris, and sometimes they're not, because they start to lose motivation, right? Because they think that they have to be on fire and motivated all the time, but that's not true, right? If your dream is bigger than your excuses and you know why you're going after that dream, you need to keep your damn why in your face. Why am I freaking doing this every day? Because motivation is going to leave. Motivation is going to go bye-bye and flee, okay? So understand that. You're going to need to know why, right? You can get started. You can get started right now with just opening your mouth and letting people know what you're starting with. You can get started with learning about how to build a free website, or how to have all social media is free, right? It's even free to join my community. Go on there and check that out. There's a lot of great stuff in there, right? So there are a lot of things that you can do right now without big financial resources. Some things you're going to need resources for, but you can get started. So the excuses they're kind of poor, because you can get started even if you're just letting people know, right? You can find that time if you really want to find that time. Because if you know what show is on Netflix right now and you watched a series or you went to a movie, then you got time. Don't tell me you don't have time when you have time. All right. Mental blocks are going to be common. You're going to have these, but you'll notice that the most successful people, well, they have fewer ones. I've dealt with and talked to, like I said, multimillionaires and all this other stuff, and they have fewer blocks. They see things in a whole different way. I want to be that person. All right. You have that power in you. You have powerful ability to be successful and enhance this thing up here. Enhance your state of mind. Examine yourself. Examine yourself. See what your blocks are. See what these success blockers are. And once you're able to recognize them, you're going to be able to do something about it. It takes me longer to find a show on Netflix than it takes me to watch a show. Right? That is so true. That is so true. Oh my gosh. We were just talking about that the other day. There's nothing on there that we're like, oh, I don't want to watch this. Right? But examine yourself, guys, because if you're going to have excuses, I don't have time, bullshit, you have time. You just don't want to have the time. That's bull crap. It just is. All right. And so examine yourself for those excuses. As soon as they come up, as soon as you see that thing come up, that might be a blocker for you. All right. And once you're able to see that and you're able to recognize and you're able to see, oh, this is what I'm doing, then you're able to address it if you really want to, right? Because nobody can make you address it. But if you really want to, you're going to, right? Your mental block, this stuff that I'm talking to you about, this stuff that I'm talking to me about, it's sometimes just a lack of belief in our ability to make this happen, to actually achieve this thing. It's a mental block that's there that's making like that's putting a wall up and saying, maybe I really can't do that. And that's what I need to look at, right? So if you feel like you're stuck and you can't move on and you can't, walk outside of it or whatever, you can't just see from the inside of the jar, right? You're going to need somebody to maybe read from the outside of the jar to kind of help you navigate what you're doing. And another big thing that I love to do, like when me and my husband are going through and I'm just like, babe, we need to do something. We'll go for a walk. We'll clear our minds. We'll take a couple of deep breaths. We'll walk the dogs for a while. We'll go to the, let them run around. We'll walk around the dog park. We'll do just walking is a really great way to do it. We also try to like maybe find something humorous. It's something we could laugh at, like things like that. But you try to clear your mind. And what happens is it's when you get out of all of that stuff that's blocking you, you have a better perspective. You have something to look at now that you can come back to and be like, okay, maybe this is not as hard as I think it is. Right. And the reason I'm talking to you guys about that is because that's what I'm struggling with the most is like discovering what my mental blocks are and how I am going to move forward. How am I going to navigate this in my life to move forward so that these blocks become less and less and less and less. So I hope that's really helped you. I hope that you've taken notes. And if you are watching today, please make sure that you subscribe to this channel because WINJECT has a lot of really great content here. They really, really do. And you don't believe me? Go on there and go watch a couple of things. You're going to be super impressed. And make sure that you go on to winject.com/register and register to be on our community for free. And go on there so that you can go on there and check out all of the stuff that we got going on WINJECT. But I'm really, really grateful for you to be here. Make sure that you like, share, subscribe, go and follow me, do all that great stuff at Straight Talk, No Sugar Added. Thank you guys for being here. Until next time.
This broadcast is brought to you by WINJECT Studios. We are an all-in-one educational platform for podcasters that revolutionizes how hosts leverage content to increase engagement with listeners, downloads, and income. We come together to focus on community, collaboration, and collective impact. For more information on how you can interact directly with our hosts, access exclusive live content with offers you can't get anywhere else from our official partners, join our purpose-driven community by visiting www.winject.com. If you're ready to build a career doing what you love, then we're ready to see you there.